so that we can see that type of benchmark and what assists. But unfortunately, it's like whenever the kiddos start the program. Additionally, we do meet with the principals, regular school day teachers. If kiddos are struggling with a certain topic area, that becomes our focus. That's where we'll hone in on those skills to make sure that we provide them that academic support.
Could you mind later, if you could share with maybe Dr. Vegas or Ms. Castino the results from the benchmark? That'd be helpful for us to just kind of see where they're at. Because one of the biggest things that I see in the after school programs is how do we measure? It's hard to measure. I get that.
Absolutely.
Now, how do we measure even like the basics? Like if you're seeing that they're increasing in reading, we can measure that by, whatever tool we have in place. Do you want to add something? Oh.
I think sometimes with our partnerships, it's hard to attribute their participation in the after-school program because there's so many different interventions that are happening throughout the school day, intervention tutoring that they're being pulled out when there's school site tutoring that they work with the students. But what we're hoping to do is that the variety of programs that they offer within the REACH program, like the cooking, the sports, the theater, the students get exposed to that area and build the confidence to want to come to school so they're more engaged and participate. So we'll be able to see the academic performance in school by turning in their homework on time where they're having difficulty and don't understand it, they get that support. So I'm hoping that our partnership and the after school programs give the students the confidence and for them to feel comfortable to be engaged and participate in those programs. So it's kind of hard for us to say because they participated in the REACH program, they increased reading X amount of levels, but we're hoping to say they feel engaged in school. There's areas in school, there's different adults and students that they could connect with at a different level.
Yeah, and I'm hoping maybe the global learning survey has to, because you can ask the kid, right? How do you feel about math? Because so just kind of that would be helpful if it's okay with the board. Some of that feedback, how do they feel, right? Because if they're engaged with this program, great, and I'm not saying they're not, but it's some data that we have to work with. And I know, one of the recommendations, I don't know about if it's elementary, but we have iReady now. iReady is a great resource if, I don't know if it's at the elementary level yet.
Remember, we're piloting the iReady right now.
Okay.
And that's more for the instruction in the class.
Yes.
Yes.
I see a lot of other districts, they use iReady. So if they don't need help with homework, that's a great reinforcement that they can use. Yeah, but thank you. It sounds like a great program. And I hope to visit one day. And if you could please just share the results with the global learning. So thank you so much for the presentation.
Thank you, Trustee Saavedra.
I don't have any, actually, that was one of my questions, just how do you gauge that? But I just want to say thank you to the REACH program and the partnership they do have with the city, because there's a lot of parents that work and those 2 hours are so vital and so crucial. And I've seen so many kids go through the REACH program that their confidence, the level that they gain their autonomy is like, you don't even recognize the kid by the time winter comes around and these performances are there. And they're all looking forward to the REACH mini Olympics. Shout out to my niece who won the cup stacking one year. But it's just incredible to see these kids, how they blossom in these programs. So thanks.
So we're cup stacking and playing cards is what you're telling me. Thank you. Trustee McGann?
Thank you, Mrs. West and Shamila. Thank you for the presentation. I'm a huge fan of REACH. All of my 5 kids went through the program, and fun fact, my oldest daughter, she was exposed a lot to art at Oberon Elementary, and when she was little, she said, I'm gonna major in art. She wasn't able to take any classes later on, but she majored in art, and I attribute that to her exposure at REACH. And just hearing about all the new things that you have now, you've expanded, you've evolved. It's great because it's more opportunities for our students. And when you mentioned that, oh, I know that student, it's true. Our kids. When we would see staff at city events, they would know my daughter by name. And that's just that type of connection that you have with this program, which I really appreciate. Just my only ask would be, can you let us know when you have the recital and when you have the mini Olympics? Would love to show up and support. Thank you again.
Thank you. Trustee LaFarga?
Yeah, thank you very much for the comprehensive presentation and explanation in each of the programmatic Did you just tell her I'm in after school programs? You're like, full disclosure, this is what I do for a living. So I do have just a couple of different types of questions in terms of the programming. Is it the same throughout all the sites in terms of timing and execution? It doesn't vary at
If it varies, it would vary because this, we are collaborating with the actual school site. And they may have additional instructional activities that they're doing in the after-school program.
Mhm.
So that it provides those kids in the REACH program that opportunity to participate in that as well. So we will manipulate like what time we'll do like homework assistance or something of that nature, like time frame wise, but across curriculum wise, all 8 schools are being exposed to this, to the same curriculum. It might be manipulated based upon, again, the school site. So you might have like South Richard or Dual Language Academy, well, it'll be manipulated.
in the surveys, what type of questions are being asked? Is it social emotional? Is it learning? Is it feeling supported, feeling safe?
So every year, at the end of the year, our students are provided a survey, again, yes, social emotional, based upon academics, what they feel like they need additional support on. We also really want their feedback on what they want to see for next year. We've said it before, it's ever a new program. We want it to keep moving, so we hit those areas as well. We also do a parent survey. We actually have a pro-parent organization, so it's like the parent reach organization where we meet quarterly. So there's one representative from every school site that, you know, their kiddos are participating in the after-school program. So they provide us with a lot of information and support, like what they want to see, just what's happening in out there in the universe, if you will. You know what I mean? It's what they want to see in the after-school program.
Yeah, and I appreciate that because you answered my question about parent engagement, and so you're getting their feedback as well. And the youth voice piece is critical. How about in terms of attendance? How are we doing at each site, like in terms of ADA, to fulfill the requirements of the ACES grant?
So we definitely took a hit during COVID. We were able to provide probably about 60% of our attendance during COVID. We still had kids logging on online. We still were providing support for parents, just, you know, navigating that, you know, that aspect of that turned our world upside down. Coming back from COVID, we found that there was a lot of parents that decided to keep their kids home from, you know, after school. They just a lot of parents were working from home, so we saw like a huge influx in that change. Though we promote like crazy, we are probably at about 75 to 80% attendance at all of our sites where we would like to be. Of course, we want to reach for that 100 goal. We were just talking with Mr. Meadow back with Rivera. I think they had like 130 kiddos. Right now, we're at about 80 at Rivera. So we definitely saw that there was a difference. But additionally, with the funding of ELOP funding, that's providing that additional support, a different type of support as well. It's given parents options to kind of choose. So,
Yeah.
not that it's like competitive, but it's kind of like it's another option for parents, which is a great thing because that hasn't always been the case.
Mhm.
So we do see that there is that attendance differential, if you will, because of that. So
I mean, the numbers sound robust though. I know the targets. You want to have everybody, right? So absolutely, yeah, they do sound robust. Last question on the ELOP, because I was going to ask if we're subsidizing enrichment for reach, or it sounds like it's more like it's a completely separate.
Right.
Okay.
We are keeping it separate. We're not, I think it's called when we're not sharing the cost with it, so we're not supplanting them at all. They're doing reach through ACES and we're doing the other programs with the ELOP funding.
No. Thank you. Those are all my questions. Appreciate everything that you're doing for our kids. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mrs. Candace West, thank you for the presentation. I had full disclosure, I worked at Candace when I volunteered for the city, and I know you're doing a great job, and I know you're the right person for this. I don't know how long it's been, but I don't know. I probably say nothing but great things about you. So thank you so much for what you're doing. The presentation was great. And just to reiterate some of the stuff, you know, teaching our kids leadership skills, self-confidence, learning how to play well with others, social skills. A lot of that stuff, I guarantee a lot of these kids that were here today went through that REACH program and the success goes on and it shows the after school program. So thank you for what you're doing as a district. What can we do to help, number one, increase the numbers or just to get the word out to help increase the attendance to get you to those higher levels as far as the percentages are concerned. If there's anything that we can do, we can recommend that we can do to help as a district. Aside from that, I don't have any other questions. If you want to just go with that one, and then again, thank you so much for everything.
Well, I only to say on behalf of the school, you get, it's always been super supportive. I know that I can contact anyone. Giselle is amazing. Dora reaches out with students that find that interest that they need to be in the after school program. The principals are very quick to call. So I mean, we're doing it. We're a team. That's why it's all about collaboration as a city, as an as the school district. Just I don't know, it's the day and age of technology. If you guys want to put out some Instagram blasts, email blasts for us, like to help put out information. It's just informing parents of the different opportunities that are out there and the different activities that we have to offer. I know that we do it on our end as a city, but if we have the school district doing it as well, I mean, the more the merrier, right? They get information. Thank you so much.
Thank you again, and that phrase you use, this guy's learning that. I love it. That's great. This guy's learning. They're learning without even knowing that they're learning. So I'll say, thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to item B, presentation of the Avid Excel program for North Park Academy of the Arts.
Good evening, school board, community members, cabinet. It's my great honor to introduce Dr. Kimes and Ms. Law from North Park Academy of the Arts. Tonight, they wanted to share with you a little bit about the Avid Excel program. It's something we've been doing for the last 2 years. It's a 3-year process to fully implement. They will share details, but they really just wanted you to learn a little bit more about the program and how we're continuing to provide new opportunities to support our English learners.
Good evening, President Contreras, members of the board, Dr. Villegas, members of cabinet, and the El Rancho Pico Rivera community. As Ms. Chavez Diaz shared with you, we are going to be talking a little bit about Avid Excel, which is our ELDC structured English language class, as well as our overall information on our ELD program. So before we dive too much into what Avid Excel is, I did want to go over a little bit of demographic data with you. If you look up here, we do have 4 years of data from when we came back to COVID. The first column is the number of EL students on average in the district at the middle school level. So total EL students in elementary unified at middle school divided by the 3 middle schools. And then you'll see our number of EL students, and then you'll see the percentage of our student body that our EL students represent. As you can see, we have consistently had higher numbers of EL students than the other 2 middle schools in the district average, which is part of the reason why we decided to start with the 3-year pilot at our school site. So I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Laura to talk about what Avid Excel actually looks like in the classroom.
So the ELD program at North Park has evolved over the years. So starting looking back at our return from COVID, at that time, we had our classes structured by grade level instead of by language ability. So we were looking at the limited data that we had since we've been away on distance learning. We didn't have access to as much data as we did previously. And we started to identify the needs of our English learners and realized that our classes needed to be restructured. So in collaboration with Dr. Kimes and Ms. Chavez Diaz, myself, we decided to level the classes by language ability for the 22-23 school year. We also started conversations with Carmen Lopez, our district Avid coordinator. In last school year, we had our classes leveled. 22-23, sorry, we leveled our classes, and then we started to look at how could we support our LTLs, our long-term English learners. And Avid has a program called Avid Excel, which is designed to support those students in accelerating their language acquisition while also giving them opportunities for that other Avid students have that aren't English language learners. In the 23-20, that summer, we decided we were going to implement it, and we sent a site team to an Avid training to become familiar with the program. And in 23-24, we piloted it with a very small group of 7th grade students. They were our seventh grade ELDC students, so students who were closest to reclassification. And that following summer, Dr. Kimes, Ms. Barrientos, our counselor, and myself attended the Avid Institute to learn how to implement scholar groups, which is one of the components of Avid Excel. And then this year we expanded to a larger group, inviting all of our ELDC 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students to participate in the program. So Avid Excel is a branch of the Avid program. It's also a structured ELD program. The main difference between it and an Avid class is that instead of tutorials, students participate in a scholar group. And you'll hear a student speak about those in a few minutes. They get to build leadership skills, and it puts them on a pathway to an Avid elective, hopefully in high school. It's designed specifically for middle school students. Okay, so these are just some of the things you would see in an Avid classroom, an Avid Excel classroom, very similar things that you would see to an Avid classroom. In addition, we continue to implement the LPAC Academy, which is part of the district. All ELD students participate in that. We do EL monitoring, we set goals and work on other Avid skills like organization and routines. Here are some pictures of the classroom, and there's a video linked in here of some students talking about it.
So in the beginning of school, there's everything with all our classes. One of the things that we work on is critical leadership. And critical leadership is something that's for college. So we work on the first week for the fifth, the second week for as we call inside, outside strategy. Now it's determined on the words in a sentence or in a paragraph. We work on the third week for main idea and we identify what it's supposed to be. We put the ball when we understand and when we don't understand and we have to not. So we can put questions for colleges and we work together to answer them. A critical leadership, there's something that we for all my classes. Next time I learn to try to do that. One of the good things about Avid Excel is that we learn Avid strategies. Our teachers organize and prepare for all of our classes. We do breakups and GPA goal setting and reflect on our progress. We're expected to keep our supplies organized and write our agenda every day. We do weekly supply and organization checks. This helps us be prepared scholars, but not just in an ELC class, but also in other classes.
My Avid stuff that does a lot of these things that we do every week. On certain days. For example, on Mondays we always do for the week for where we have to think about what a quote means, write about it, and share a response. Thursdays are always think about Thursdays, where we have to work together and solve brain teasers and logic puzzles. Fridays we do for Friday activities that help us to get to know each other and build a sense of community. My favorite on Friday activity so far is talking with other people to make a good conversation.
In Avid Excel, we do a lot of group work, research, and presentation. We are learning about focus note taking. We work in groups and we get focused on presenting to the class. Focus note taking helps me build up my research skills, speaking skills, and listening skills. Focus note taking helps me also get better at doing notes and common practice and helps me implement my speech and this makes me improve my grades.
And what about that video? All students read it. It came through on that video. I do want to talk a little bit about the data from Avid Excel.
I have up here the reclassification criteria. This is the district reclassification criteria for grades 6 through 8. In order for a student to reclassify out of ELD, they need to have an overall LPAC score of a 4. They need to have a demonstration of basic skills, which can be met through the SBAC, through the interims, or through the STAR reading assessments. And they have to have a C or higher on their in their final semester report cards in their English language arts class. So with that in mind, the next slide shows you the LPAC scores from the 22-23 school year and the 23-24 school year. Something to keep in mind about LPAC data that's a little bit different from what we traditionally look for on ISPEC data is that as soon as our students reclassify out, they stop taking the test. And so we expect to see like an up and down wave of our scores because our top students are testing out of ELD. And so we see kind of like a growth every year. We're kind of starting over with new students each year when we're looking at the test. Last year for the 22-23 school year, we had 3 newcomers enrolled throughout the course of the year, which represented 2 countries. This year we had last year we had 10 newcomers who enrolled representing 8 countries. That's over the course of the year and 3 languages. So far this year, we have 15 newcomers total, 4 of whom have enrolled just this school year. So also looking at the number of newcomers we have in our program impacts the scores as well. And then looking specifically at our Avid Excel data, from the Avid Excel pilot class last year from year 1, 62% of the class reclassified and moved out of the ELD program. It was a 7th grade only class. 15% of the class moved from a level 2 to a level 3 on the LPAC. 15% moved from a low level 3 to a high level 3. And we did have one student who was within the level 1. He's moved into ELDB for this year because we felt like he needed more support. But you can see that every single student in our Avid Excel class last year showed tremendous growth. And then looking really quickly at our reclassification data, again, this goes back to 4 years. It has the number of EL students, and then our reclassification numbers as well as our district reclassification numbers. 21-22, we knew it was going to be high because we were capturing the kids who were out during COVID. 22-23 was the year that we changed our structure and we leveled by ability and language proficiency instead of by grade. And then 23-24 was our pilot year of Avid Excel. This year so far, we've reclassified 6 students and we see several more on the horizon. So we're excited about what Avid Excel has to offer our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Karen, Ms. Mara, and Ms. Jasmine Chavez. I appreciate the presentation. With that, I'm going to open it up to questions from the board, starting with Trustee Perez.
Wow. The reclassification score is huge. So you're doing something right. So thank you. Kudos to your entire team for doing that. I am a little confused so how does a student qualify, I guess you could say, for Avid? I wasn't sure if is that the scores of that I was
So for Avid Excel, because Avid Excel is designated for ELD, it's a little bit different process than traditional Avid. And Ms. Laura is actually both our English language point contact teacher and our Avid coordinator. So she has her hat in both of those arenas, which is awesome. But for Avid Excel, we look really at our LTL, which is our long-term English learners who are students who have been a designated English language learner for 5 to 7 years. So we're looking primarily at that as opposed to like the application-based data that we do for more of a traditional Avid student. So all of our ELDC students are enrolled in Avid Excel. Parents are given the option to have the traditional ELDC curriculum, but none of our parents opted for that. So all of our ELDC students are in Avid Excel.
Got it. I love that. I like the equity piece. And that's because from what I remember of Avid, you had to have certain grades. And so I was an ELL learner. And then back then I didn't qualify for Avid because of my English. And so that's why I love the equity piece, the fact that these students are getting those skills and it's showing in the data that they're reclassifying. I'm just in awe. But okay.
Yeah, one of the things about Avid Excel is that they're part of the Avid family. So when Avid classes take field trips, they go on the field trips too. So when we go to Cal State LA, Rio Hondo, Whittier College, when we went to UCLA, I'm going to college fair last year, we went to a tech empowerment day. Our Avid Excel kids get to go on those trips too. We get t-shirts, sweatshirts, they get them too. They're part of the Avid family. So it definitely helps create equity.
No, I love, and I hope, Dr. Gray, I feel like this is a future presentation conference, like the reclassification rates and what you're doing. I would love to share that with other districts and just to showcase that if you're comfortable. So just thank you for this and just amazing program. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Saavedra?
So these students, the ones that are, I guess, 9th graders now, the ones that were 7th graders, did they just roll into a lot of them, most of them?
They're current 8th graders with us. They were 7th graders
Okay.
last year, so they're current 8th graders with us. So when they reclassify out of Avid, they have the option of which elective they want to take. And so at that point, we try to encourage them to take the Avid elective for their grade level, which the majority of them do. But you can speak more
I'm
on
gonna
that.
talk about this too, because I'm very proud of them. So, we just had 4 students reclassify when semester report cards came out. The LPAC only happens once a year, right around state testing, so they have to meet that marker at that time, but sometimes they aren't all prepared to reclassify right away, like they didn't meet the interim benchmark or they didn't have the grade on the report card. So I had 4 kids who were in that situation and they all reclassified at the semester. So they met all the other benchmarks. And one of them was a 6th grader and she chose to go into an elective, but the other 3 chose to stay in Avid Excel. And as we're working on the LPAC Academy right now, they're working on the same project that my 7th grade Avid class is also working on, doing college and college research prepare for like a college career readiness unit. So they had other options and they chose to stay in it. So I see them as future Avid students. Next.
Okay, trustee McGinn.
Thank you so much for the presentation and for pivoting as well, because something wasn't working and then you pivoted to doing your viability. I think that was very impactful. So the program is only at North Park, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's needed at the other middle schools as well.
So I think, and Ms. Chavez might want to speak to this also, but because it's a 3-year implementation cycle, I think the plan was to kind of roll it out. There's 3 different years of training that we go to at Avid Summer Institute. Each year's training is a little bit different and kind of nuanced to what our implementation point. So I think the long-term plan was to see the pilot through the first initial 3 years and then kind of re-examine what's going on at the district level.
Yeah, exactly. So we wanted to make sure we had full implementation.
Can you step up to the mic, just
We wanted to make sure that we have full implementation and knew that the program worked for our kids before we spent money on other sites and asked teachers to give up their summer to attend these institutes because they are away from their families for about a week to attend. We picked North Park because it has the highest EL population. Everything looks good. I don't see anything changing, but we wanted to make sure that not only had we fully implemented the program, but then North Park can serve as mentors to the other 2 schools of this is how we did it. This is what we would have done differently. This will work really well.
One of the greatest benefits of this program is that students actually get a piece of like would be an elective. The students that are EL students at the middle school don't have an elective that take the ELD class. So this satisfies the opportunity for students to get their ELD requirement. Yet also it's basically an elective because they're teaching the strategies and skills that they would get in the adult component. So it's a really good program. I think that now that we see the data results, we'd have to look for ways how we can continue to implement it district wide.
And remind me again what the funding sources for the program was it
So we've had different funding sources. The 2 that we can consistently rely on is Title III as a commercial program, but also in our SNC. If you look at our LCAP, there's a line item that talks about extended and enriched opportunities for English learners, and under that we do have Avid Excel. So in terms of funding, because SNC is directly supporting English learners as one of the 3 UPP groups, we have the funding to support implementation at the other 2 sites.
and definitely we're going to be approving the SARS today, and English learners are a group that need additional support. So I'm really happy with the results and hopefully we'll be able to implement them at the other sites soon. Thank you.
And the other comment I would make is that the initial investment to start this program, it does require a full site team. I think we had to send like 9 or 10 people as opposed to the 3 that we normally send. So that was another piece of making sure before we invest that time and money, quite frankly, in sending that many people to the conferences over summer, that it was something that was sustainable and something that worked for our kids.
Thank you, trustee LaForga.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I mean, it was so comprehensive that I was having a hard time coming up with a question. And then my colleagues took the questions, but providing the data, having the students tell the story, and then just your leadership and execution of the program is amazing, and the results speak for themselves. So just a big round of applause for you for that hard work. I guess the only question I could come up with, did you have all the resources you needed to execute the program with the funding that was available?
I definitely feel like we did. Ms. Chavez Diaz has been very supportive, and Ms. Lopez, our regional coordinator for Avid, has been very supportive. We did a site visit at another school before we implemented it for ourselves. So we kind of had an idea of what things we needed. And since Ms. Laura is also our Avid coordinator, a lot of the Avid tools that we already had transferred over. But I feel like we've been in really good shape as far as the materials, the training, everything that we needed.
That's great. Thank you for leading the way. Well done.
Thank you. Was that, thank you for the presentation first and foremost. Was that the, video you showed from Paramount, I believe? Was that Paramount, School District? There was a video that was attached? No? Yes.
My student.
Oh, okay.
Right now.
Okay, for some reason I recall, Paramount School District in,
Like this,
okay.
but yeah, that video that you saw tonight, that was Miss.
Yes, I did recognize her in the video, but for some reason I recalled seeing another video with little, some other kids in there, but nonetheless, you're doing a great job. It's awesome. It's like we're getting ready, we're getting our kids at the middle school level ready for college, and that's what we talked about as a board in previous meetings, as far as we need to connect with them at an earlier age, not just get them at high school, obviously, but start with them at the middle school level and go back as much as we can. But this is a great program, and I do see it going out to the other middle schools soon. So thank you so much for what you're doing. I appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, so moving on to item C, presentation of El Rancho Unified School District 2023-2024 annual financial audit report for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024 to the Board of Education by Ms. Monique Monzo and Christy White Incorporated.
All right, good evening, Superintendent, members of the Board and Cabinet. Thank you for having me here. Again, my name is Monique Manzo, Supervisor with Christy White. I'd like to start off with a little overview of the audit process and our procedures and end with our opinions over the district's financial statements as well as federal and state awards. Our audit covers a broad range of testing areas, completed throughout the year. During the interim phase, which occurs during spring, we're more focused on internal controls and state compliance. So we test the district's design and effectiveness of internal controls implemented over the financial reporting process. So we're looking at many transactions from purchasing, accounts payable, your cash receiving and payroll. So we're looking at, all areas of fiscal there. And then with state compliance, we complete the audit procedures outlined within the annual LEA state audit guide that are applicable to your district. This includes areas such as attendance, instructional minutes. We look at your ACES program, ELAW, and we do look at your SARC and much more. For 23-24 school year, new programs both at the district level and the audit level were Proposition 20, as well as the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program. So again, ELAW. Because the district expended more than $750,000 in federal funds, we were required to conduct a single audit. So this year we looked at the Education Stabilization Fund program, which is your ESSER and GEAR funds. And then in the fall, we revisit the district after you all approve the unaudited actuals. And here we're really focused on account balances as of June 30th. So again, looking at your ending cash balance, accounts receivable, accounts payable, looking at, capital assets, long-term debt, as well as selecting a sample of revenue and expenditures. As far as audit responsibilities, who's responsible for what? District's management is responsible for the design and implementation of effective internal controls over your financial processes, as well as the preparation and fair presentation of financial statements. The auditor, us, our responsibility is to obtain reasonable assurance that the financial statements are free from material misstatement, as well as issuing those audit opinions. And just to state, our opinion does not address the financial condition of the district. For 23-24 year, there was a restatement of prior year net position and fund balance. So the restatement was to the general fund, your student activity fund, so that's your AHP accounts, a bond interest and redemption fund. The restatement was related to, or restatements were related to clearing carryover balances and properly reflect your student account balances.
On page 86 of the printed audit report, there's this nice little table that everyone always goes to. It summarizes the audit opinions as well as the audit results. So again, your financial statements, federal and state awards. So the first audit opinion we issued was related to financial statements. We issued an unmodified opinion, which is the best audit opinion you can get. So congratulations on that. There were no material misstatements or significant deficiencies noted this year, meaning there were no findings. Federal awards, again, we looked at the ESSER and GEAR program this year, another unmodified opinion there. No significant deficiencies or material weaknesses were identified while testing. State compliance, another unmodified opinion, and no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies were noted there. However, we did report one finding. So that finding that was reported is related to the classroom teacher salaries. So we are required to verify that a unified school district expends a minimum of 55% of its expenditures on salaries of classroom teachers. So what happened in 23-24 is that only 51.08 was spent on classroom teacher salaries. So this had an overall effect and question cost of approximately 4.9 million. This has been kind of a common issue with districts, especially with those one-time COVID funds. So we've noticed a lot of districts kind of struggling to meet that percentage requirement. And we're hopeful that will, fall off 24-25 year with those funds coming to an end. And I do apologize for how this PowerPoint came out. Status of prior year findings. So it looks like last year there was a finding related to your financial statements. So that was the preparation and audit adjustments there. We saw that was implemented. There was no findings this year. Finding number 2, again, was related to that classroom teacher salary. So again, that's been a common finding for most districts. So update on that, not implemented, to repeat finding this year. Or 23-24 year, I should say. That concludes my summary of the 23-24 financial audit for your district. And this was our first year auditing your district. So it was a pleasure working with Gio, Lily, Laura, and the whole fiscal team, as well as I want to say the personnel at the sites, because we do look at attendance at the site level, and those site attendance clerks are definitely providing information. So just want to say thank you to anyone who was a part of the audit. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the presentation. Any questions from the board? We'll start over here with Trustee Price.
I love the presentation because it was simple, short, and to the point. So thank you for that. And thank you for, so I was looking at the finding. Thank you for explaining the reason, right? Because COVID one-time fundings and knowing that we're in the norm, everyone's doing. So thank you to our team. Thank you to making it happen. So I have no comments, just a kudos to our team, and thank you.
Trustee Sumatra? No comments. Trustee Mahan?
Yes, thank you. So, thank you for the presentation. Going back to that finding though, I noticed on the back, there's a recommendation, regarding, getting an, exemption from NACO. So maybe the question is more towards Ms. Hundenberg. So should there be a plan in place for things like this? And if so, like what's the next course of action?
We are working on the waiver. We plan on submitting that to the county. And it will be presented to the board prior to submitting to them.
So also a plan so that we hit the 55, that it's always hitting 55, like what can we do besides the waiver? Also how do you monitor that 55%? So we don't have the finding there.
Yes, and it is based on those one-time dollars. So we're trying to make sure that we capture all of our salaries for our certificated team, and we back out any resources that are subject to only to supplies and services. So we can, what is it called? It's on column 4, I'm sorry, it's exemption. We can exempt those resources as long as it doesn't have any certificated salaries tied to it. So we're gonna we didn't have any for fiscal year 23-24, but as we back out all the COVID dollars, because those are no longer available, we will then look at those additional resources that are only for the 4s, 5s, and 6s that are not already exempt through the classroom exemption allocation.
Got it. So that there'll be like something to track it, that'll be like a running total or something that you could run and see where we're at a certain period.
Yes, I believe we can do that. I believe we can run some labor reports to see what the projected cost of salaries for the certificated team and see what we have as our one-time dollars that aren't already backed out. A good example would be the Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant. We don't plan on using any of those dollars at this point for any certificated salaries. It's mostly for services and supplies for the students. So we can actually back those dollars out.
Got it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee LaFarga?
Yeah, thank you very much for the presentation. Just to build on the question that Trustee Mejia had, what are the consequences of this finding? What does it mean for the district? Since we've had it for 2 years already?
It seems that way. I'm not sure how far back it goes. And to be honest, I've never really seen what the implications are. Most of the time I've seen that those exceptions or those waivers that have been filed with the COEs have been approved. I could definitely get some more information for you though.
Yeah, I was just curious if there's corrective action we have to take, we have to submit to.
Typically, I've just seen recommendations to submit that exemption waiver.
Okay.
I don't think there's an additional.
I apologize. No, yes, we did submit the waiver and this is our second year having that finding. Because we did not have the COVID dollars prior to that. So it was just kind of something new for all districts. We actually had School Services of California, they presented for us as all districts because we hadn't had that before. So we needed to know, okay, the exceptions are there, but what else can we put in as some additional exceptions so that, you know, that percentage would increase on the behalf of a school district.
And so it's something that's happening at the other districts as well.
Yes, all of us.
And it's something that's, you said it could be COVID related or it is COVID?
It's definitely, yes.
So it should go away within the next few findings.
Yes, I don't foresee it going forward, as even as early as this fiscal year, 24-25. We'll keep a close eye on it.
And I think that the COVID dollars really had an impact on financials across sectors, even the nonprofit sector, where it was the carryover of dollars, this and that, and it inflated budgets, but it was, you know, you had to spend before you earn those kind of things.
It was a tough benefit.
It was a tough benefit, yeah.
But it was like, okay, now we got to balance out something else.
For sure. And just for my own edification, when do we start our audit and when do we complete it? What's how many months does it take?
That's a good question. Well, we normally schedule, like I said, our interim during spring. We like to give it a week. So we'll give the district a notice ahead of time, like, hey, we, want to schedule it for this week. What's a good time for your team? With a remote audit, there's always kind of some, pending requests, but we normally can follow up with those during our year-end visit. So again, year-end, we like to give it a week for your size district. And again, we like to schedule those ahead of time and provide our samples ahead of time to get, your personnel enough time to gather information.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Trustee Saavedra?
I know you guys filed the first exemption. When is the deadline for the second one to be filed, or for this past year?
We will start working on that. We'll probably have it ready. Oh, sorry, I'm shorter than you. We'll probably have that ready by next month.
But is there a
The
deadline
waiver
that the county legal puts on it?
They do not,
have
to
it.
my knowledge, they have not imposed any type of deadline. But we will get it done sooner than later. now that we have our audit report.
Thank you, Ms. Manzo, Ms. Sandberg. Thank you so much for the presentation. And it's great work, obviously, of what you've been doing for the past year. So we really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Good night.
Okay, moving on to item B, presentation on the 2023-2024 school accountability report card. Sorry.
Good evening. Good evening, Dr. Villegas, Board President, board members, and El Rancho community. We are pleased to be here with you to share a summary of the School Accountability Report Card, which is referred to as the SARC. And we will also be providing an overview of the information that a SARC provides about the schools in our district. A School Accountability Report Card, or SARC, is a public document that provides important information about a school's performance, resources, and demographics. Very important. The SARC is required by law under the Every Student Succeeds Act, and each school SARC must be updated annually and published by February 1st. So you can imagine we've been pretty busy. Now, the contents in our school SARCs include key information such as student enrollment, demographics, data, academic performance, and standardized tests, graduation and dropout rates, school climate, teacher qualifications, financial expenditures, facility conditions, and details about instructional programs and resources. So there's a lot of information that we are preparing. The SARC is designed to promote transparency and help parents, educators, and the community evaluate and support our schools. Anyone can access our SARC by visiting the state's SARC portal and typing in the school name or El Rancho Unified School or the city, Pico Rivera. They can also be viewed by visiting each school websites by going to the About section. It's a little tab in our district's everybody's websites, and by clicking on the SARC, and the viewer can then choose to view the SARC and report or the SARC summary. So you get a choice of a more detailed report or a summary. Now, the actual SARC report can be found when you click on the SARC report. Again, it provides detailed information about a school's performance, resources, and demographics. The full SARC offers an in-depth look at the school's progress and compliance with state and federal requirements, which is very important, the compliance side. A SARC summary, on the other hand, condenses the most critical information from full report into a more accessible format, the highlights. It highlights key data points such as test scores, demographics, trends, making it easier for parents and other viewers to quickly understand the school's overall performance. Viewers can select the language they would like the SARC translated into to ensure they can understand the important information about their child's school, so Spanish, English, or any other language that is necessary. If needed, parents can also request a translated hard copy of the SARC from their school site. And Ms. Castellon will continue to share more details about the different sections our SARC contains.
Thank you, Erin. As you heard, the information pertaining to schools can be viewed in a SARC, including information on teacher qualifications and credentialing, as well as the ratios of students to teachers and other support staff is shared. One is available to view, for example, how many teachers at the school have their clear credential and compare the number and percentage to the district and state. Schools also share what textbooks and materials are available for students and the percent of students who are lacking their own copy. The school's facilities section provides a description of the school's physical condition and planned maintenance. This information is from the most recently collected Facility Inspection Tool, or FIT. This data provides a description of any needed maintenance to ensure good repair, the year and month in which the data was collected, the rate each system inspected, and the school's overall rating. Our most recent FIT reports show that one of our elementary schools had an overall rating of exemplary, while all our other sites had an overall rating of good, with the exception of one of our elementaries, one of our middle schools, and one of our high schools who had an overall rating of fair. Each site will work with their custodians and maintenance department so that the issues can be addressed and repaired. In this section of the SARC, we see student academic performance and standardized test scores and performance on state assessments, such as the SBAC, CAST, and COP. Our high school SARCs also contain graduation and dropout rates in the outcomes and achievement section. In our high school SARCs, one can see how many of our students are college and career ready. You can see how many students are participated in CTE courses, the percent that completed a CTE program and earned a high school diploma, and the percent of graduates who completed all courses required for a UC or Cal State admission. As you review the SARCs that we are submitting for your approval this evening, you will see information contained in each SARC has information that is site-specific, such as the school's average class size, pupil outcomes, chronic absenteeism, and suspension rates, as well as teacher and administrative salaries and professional development information. Thank you for your time, and we hope that our community has a better understanding of what a SARC is, the information it contains, and how to access it. Do you have any questions for us?
Thank you, Ms. Castellon. I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the questions from the board with Trustee Perez.
Thank you for the detailed presentation on how to access it. I think it's really good for the community to know, because I know we talk about it a lot, but where exactly? I was looking at the middle school CAS data, and when I look at the like how they did on English and math, they're exactly the same for all the middle schools. Is it that, so like they have the same online, at least for last year, I think it's like 47% English, literally all three middle schools have the same score. And I think it was about 36 for math, all three middle schools have the same score. Is that by coincidence, or is it that
just let me look at that more closely, because that's auto-populated, so let me double check that information.
okay? That was my biggest
Thank you.
concern. And then also I know Ms. Mejia mentioned it as well, like the English language learners, right? 0% median exceeding. So I am excited about the North Park Excel program and how we can utilize that, because literacy improves math scores and it goes from there. So that's the only questions I have. And if you can just give me an update on.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Saavedra?
When it comes to the FIT assessments, do you go class by class, every single room in every single school in order to determine that it passes, or how does it work?
The custodian or someone from maintenance schedules an appointment. They do visit the classrooms and the areas that need to be inspected, and there's a sheet that they need to follow, and it's not paper and pencil, it's digital. So once that information is recorded, that's where the scores come up. So I think we've done that. The practice we've done is where they do a walkthrough with their custodians, say this needs to be fixed, this roof tile needs to be addressed before the official visit comes through. But they should be visiting every classroom.
Trustee Mejia?
Thank you for the presentation. Yeah, this is a very good snapshot, and it's important for the community to know how we're doing. I believe that every 3 years, the board is supposed to review the model form from the state, and I think that's what we're using now. So
Yes.
hey, we did it, guys. So scheduled for 3 years, the governance calendar, that would be good. Because the majority of the time, this gets approved as a consent agenda, right? And I think it's important for us to take the time to review it at a minimum every 3 years. But to Trustee Perez's point, yeah, there's something.
First, I missed it.
What's that?
I missed that. I read the data wrong
Oh, no, I was gonna, talk about, the data as far as the data, reviewing it, right? So I noticed that for the expenditures for one of the elementary schools is, somewhat higher than the others, and I apologize, because I did not submit this as a question, you don't have to answer it right now. But, Valencia Elementary has their per pupil expenditure at $6,685.72. And the other elementary schools have it in the 4,000 range, one in the 5,000 range. So we can get the reason why, the variance, for that item. The other question that I had was related to, the English language learners. Um, Definitely, doing more. I know that we're making great strides. Thank you, Ms. Chavez Diaz, for that. But this is why it's a good tool for us to look at this data and say, hey, no, what are we doing here? Chronic absenteeism was high, but I know that you're doing a lot now. So if you could share some of the strategies that are being used already, so the community knows what we're doing to address that. Because we were like in the 18s, 20s on some of the percentages for the school at the last school year.
Yes, thank you.
Can you share some?
So sorry, I was a little confused with writing what you're asking. So I'm sorry, I do need to confirm, I'll put in the board update the difference of the per pupil spending at Valencia's compared to the other sites. And then the sharing the strategies of our English learners, what we're currently doing with our students to support them. Yeah, so currently we're working with our OPAC assessors. They're going into the classrooms and also trying to work with students so that they can build the test taking skills and build their language development. So they're better prepared for the LPAC so that they could reclassify. So we're hoping that will also help our reclassification rate. We'll also have different workshops in LPAC Academy where our EL resource teacher is working with principals and their ELPCT, which is their English language contact program teacher, to use different strategies in the classroom and the existing resources they have. We've also worked with different sites to identify additional curriculum that they can use to supplement our existing ELD program, and we're giving them training with the benchmark phonics program they received, so that they continue to use those strategies in the classroom.
So thank you. And if you could share a little bit about the chronic absenteeism strategies.
So
So some of the strategies, I mean, they vary from school type to school site. Some of them really look at the individual situations as to why the students are being absent, and then get very creative on what they do to improve chronic absenteeism. District-wide, we do have the attention to attendance. I think the board has approved, where we send communication out to the families regularly to really emphasize the importance of coming to school. We have also attendance interns. So we have mental health interns that work with our department that we then send out to school sites that focus specifically on attendance. And they're doing a lot of case management where they're calling families individually, working with the students individually, really trying to find out what those barriers and challenges are to the attendance, getting to the root of that, and helping to resolve and give them some resources for that. We've also improved on our awards. We stopped that during COVID. It's come back. So we do have attendance incentives, but from each school, whether it's an award through an assembly, certificate, recognition. We have community-wide events. I mean, it's one I know Board President Contreras wanted more. So we're looking at doing another one this school year. It's just hard to get the volunteers once a year starts going, but going out and do those home visits and really making it personalized for the families to make sure that we get out there and talk to them. Those are just some of the strategies. Thank you. Appreciate you sharing. You're welcome.
Thank you, Trustee LaForte.
Thank you so much for the presentation. Similar questions to my colleagues. I guess the other question I would have is how presenting it to us and the community here in this forum is great. And how are we gonna message it out to our parents so that now we're gonna use Parent Square to get this out and say this is how you would access it. You know what I'm saying? So that everybody has awareness of it.
And I don't know if you want to answer, but certainly I think it's an information tool that I think the school sites are going to be sharing to the community. We're going to ask them to message out the information so that parents are aware of what's the standard, what's the status of our schools. I think that's one of the it's more relevant, I think, when it comes from the individual school sites that they could communicate directly to the parents and let them know that this is one set of information to give them a sense of how the schools are doing. And yet the data, even though the data may not necessarily be might be a little bit behind because that's kind of the way it runs, but at least it gives them a sense of what the school is doing. And through constant communication and just in the terms of making sure that our community is fully aware of what is happening in the school. This is one of the tools that can be used.
And that would happen after February 1st, after we,
On or before, so
On or
we need
before.
to have it by February 1st.
okay. So after we file, then we communicate. It'll be available.
For parents, yes, online.
Great. Thank you.
Board member Mejia, I'm so sorry, I just want to communicate some information. So you asked about a strategy for our English learners. So for our English learners, we have our designated and we have our integrated strategy. The designated is going to ensure that we have a very safe time for our students within their class time. Integrated means that they're going to be learning throughout their classes. And so we have that going on throughout our district.
The EL strategies is what she's referring to. So in our middle school, our secondary students have the ELD period. At the elementary schools, teachers have 30 minutes where they teach their EL English learners specific strategies for our students to build those skills, especially language. It's so important for them to do that.
Dr. Lopez and Gisela Castellon, thank you so much for the presentation. I did have one request. I don't know if it's to Super or to Big, but because this question has been brought up before, as far as the fit is concerned, is there a way to get a sample or how the fit sheet is? You said it's the sheet that's filled out, or it's done. If it's done electronically, we get a snapshot or a copy of it. But also how the follow-up to the fit is done as far as if something is wrong. Like, and the reason why I'm asking is we get a lot of concerns from parents as far as the status of our schools, right? As far as, there's this wrong or X wrong, or Y wrong, and we're constantly being asked, what we're doing to fix these things. So I just want to be able to have the process. I want to know more about the process, so I'm able to explain how the process works and how we go about fixing these items.
And if I can just take a shot at that real quick, I think in terms of,
Yeah, I don't know.
of giving giving the board a kind of basically the list of things that we're looking for. I think that's something we'll provide with you right away that you get. And I think that's a great idea to be able to see what is it that we're looking for. And then we'll give you also the board update, a more concrete update of what are the steps taken to make this happen. What step one, that one kind of preview the conversation with the site custodian that identifies certain things, and then what that looks like the next time around. We'll provide you more detailed information so that you're aware at least that part of it. And then when something is wrong, what is the work order process? For example, if they identify certain things are not correct, what is the process that happens after that? So we can provide that all comprehensively so that whoever asks you, we can say this is the process that we take at least for this. Yet if there's other concerns, anytime that parents may see something, we absolutely want them to say something. We want them to say let the principal know that hey, they saw something or they heard something. They come home, kids come home and say hey, the bathrooms are there. We've got actually a lot of information that way. Bathrooms are not in good repair. We get that information, even though the fit's over. We want to be able to support that in any capacity.
Thank you, Dr. Vegas. And again, thank you for the presentation. It was great.
I just wanted to just say thank you because it takes a lot of departments to bring this together. I want to thank the maintenance department with their director, Mr. Compton, our director of fiscal, Ms. Huttenberg. Olga helps with the textbooks information, HR, Dr. Matthews, Mr. Matthews. It brings everybody together. Everybody reading and going through the process, Danny in our office, just everybody supports each other. So I just want to say it takes a lot, but it's well worth it.
Thank you, Dr. Lopez. And we do see the support that's behind you and here with you today. So we thank all of you guys for the hard work that's done. Thank you so much. Okay, so moving on, we have comments and reports by superintendent and captain.
Yes, thank you so much, and I do appreciate a lot of presentations today, with a lot of great information, and we had the students that were here that we celebrated, and just makes for a full day, and it just reminds me of what a truly historic time to be part of this district. I mean, so many things are happening and so many things to really celebrate. And I wrote just a few things down. And as we begin 2025, it's only it's only the 21st, and so much is happening. So many activities. And I visited schools, and they are ready to rock. There's a lot of good work going on, and I just want to recognize that we're very lucky because we weren't really hit by any of the fires or any of the other situations that really has changed the dynamic in a lot of districts. We haven't even had power failures or any of that stuff that has impacted other schools. So I'm just take a moment to think about all those that have been affected by it and wish them a quick recovery. Um, just also looking ahead, we have about 50 days before state testing begins. And so this is a really exciting time because this is when you start uh, showing what you know. Students start focusing and energies are there, and teachers start getting excited, and students are really focused on what is it that's going to be on those tests. And we're really hoping that these next 50 days that everyone gets on that same page and is focused on the number one thing, which is doing the best that we possibly can. Make sure that we learn what we've actually been learning all year, and to demonstrate it. And just also a quick reminder that reading is one of those important skills that we're focusing and we're asking all students. It's a challenge out there for anyone who's watching or anyone who hears it, that we want every student to read every single day. Because if you really master reading, if you really learn to read, you're going to be successful in any subject. That helps you in math, it helps you in science, it helps you in social studies. So encouragement to all our students, make that time. Just take those 15, 20 minutes every single day. Parents, read with them. And that's going to make an impact on how well your kids do every day. I can tell you the one thing that will make the biggest difference in learning is if your students just get a little bit better in reading. And just think about it. Whatever you're trying to do, whether you're trying to play guitar or play soccer, you practice a little bit more, you get a little bit better. So doing reading, read a little bit more, you get a little bit better. Want to just bring to the attention that February brings two important observances. First week of February is National School Counselors Week, and I'd like to recognize the incredible work our counselors do to support their academic, emotional, and social well-being for their students. The contributions are essential to our student success. And also, February is also Career Technical Education Month, and over the years, we've been significantly expanded our CTE programs and pathways, providing students with meaningful hands-on learning experiences that prepare them for the future careers and post-secondary opportunities. These programs are a point of pride for our district. And so I wanted to just look ahead, and it's kind of an interesting conversation. Safety was an issue today. We talked a lot about that, and coincidentally, or maybe not coincidentally, but I knew it was important for us to talk about. We do have our chief of police who will be next month at the next meeting, presenting a little bit about our safety protocols and in terms of what we can actually say, because there's some things that we don't want to say, but we certainly want to make sure that our community is aware of what are some of the major protocols that we have in place to respond to these types of situations. And I understand the gravity of situations that have happened, but I don't know if it was just a matter of luck. I don't think it was. I think it was that our response was done in a way that where people were trained. When the lockdown was called, people did what they needed to do. We had 5 SSOs at the site with 2 police officers, 1 school police, and our deputy was on site. So the response time was really just seconds. And in fact, for that essence, for additional officers, it took a little longer. But all of those pieces, I think there's something to be proud of as well, because there was a good response. Is there opportunity to be better? And should these things never happen? They shouldn't. But our officers did a good job, and our SROs were there, and we'll continue to learn. And we had a good debrief, and there are some things that we learned from this situation that are going to help us be even better. And so later this evening, we will be adopting a resolution recognizing you, the board, Our Board of Education, so this is in honor of Board Recognition Month. Uh, your hard work and dedication are instrumental in pushing forward so many of the initiatives that are shaping the future of our district. And on behalf of the entire community, I want to thank you for your commitment to our students, staff, and families. And so I'll say a little bit more when it's time for the resolution. But thank you for your continued dedication to our students and for helping us make 2025 a year of progress and achievement.
Thank you, sir. And moving forward, we got the item 15, Board of Education announcements and acknowledgements. I'm gonna go ahead and start over here at my left with Trustee Perez.
Good evening. To push for reading, one of our goals, actually, me and my friends from high school, we're doing a book club because you never stop reading. And I hadn't read in a long time. And it takes you to another world, and it's just such a nice thing. So I definitely, at all ages, not just our students, but parents too, create a book club. Back in December, I attended the IB luncheon at our Rancho, which was so great to see the accomplishments and how much your students are getting accomplishing before they even graduate. So kudos to everyone involved. It was a great event, hearing their stories, and it was the alums that were coming back because they find the scores later. So that was really great. Happy New Year. I hope everyone took a restful break. I did. I just, sometimes it's good to we tell our teachers and staff, just close your computers and just relax. And I think that's definitely what I tried to do. Congrats again to our scholar athletes. Huge, huge, huge. Just, I love when the students are here. Just the energy is just different, and it reminds us why we're here. I'll send this to Dr. Vegas. In March, Downey Unified will be doing a middle school esports competition. So it's a great event for maybe our middle school principals, maybe our directors to attend to see what they're doing in Downey in terms of esports. I know we're pushing this at the high school level, but they're already starting to, they already had it going in the middle school. So I know that's something we're looking into elementary. So it's just a great way for them. They've offered to help us to start our program. So I'll send that to the board members if anyone's interested. And then just echoing Dr. Vegas, sending my condolences to anyone affected by the fires. It's a tragedy. And, definitely for me, learned what do I do if I'm in that situation? So definitely sending my condolences. And I know the big topic today was safety. And just know that we do hear you. We are listening. Our brains are trying to figure out how do we solve this together. I do trust that 100% in our chief. I know we have a plan coming, and I know it's conversations that we're going to have because it was a good awakening, right? To see what's working and what's not working. So please know that we are working on that. We will bring that back. And that is all for my updates.
Thank you so much, Trustee Saavedra.
Sorry, I'm new again, trying to work that thing. So, I have a couple of things. Also, I was able to stop by and congratulate the IB kids. That's such an accomplishment. Those classes are so rigorous. So shout out to all of them. I stopped by Rivera. I attended the band concert, the cheer concert, and some event at Bernie for the holidays. And I know I'm supposed to be taking pictures. I'm sorry. I apologize, everyone. I want to go ahead and remind everyone that the school district does partner with Hazel, and Hazel, you just go to hazel.co, and you can find it on the board on the school district website, and it's one-on-one counseling support. It's free, it's fast and easy, it's free to all students. I know a lot of people are going through a lot right now in regards to the fire, anything that we can do to help out our neighbors, because I know that they would come together to help support us. I was out there a couple of days. One of the days I saw first responders, they're intense. They're sleeping on cots outside. It's just so impactful. All these people that lost everything. I mean, anything that we can do as a community to help out, I'm with you guys 100%. Thank you for following up with the parent on the Salazar update as regards to what needs to be fixed there, and going forward, there's some awesome kids attending that school. We need to make sure that they have a beautiful place to go to school as well. As far as, I just have a couple of other things that I'll make it real quick. Due to the fires, we look to rebuild LA. We need to be aware that there's gonna be a lot of construction jobs coming up in the future, a lot of opportunities for our students to get very good paying jobs in design and architecture, and we need to keep our eyes open to any opportunities that we can bring to our students so that they can succeed and they can continue. I just have, I don't know if this belongs here or at towards the end, but in regards to the fiscal responsibility and quoting jobs, I understand that stuff happens, but I know I see change orders and I get it. I understand that you cannot foresee everything that's gonna happen. There could be environmental issues, abatement issues, but I would like to see what the school district Dr. Villegas we're doing to curb that in the future, because so it looks like we're not gonna have extra money or that leeway. We need to make sure that when we are getting these quotes in, we kind of adhere or we look at the worst and best case scenarios. As far as the events that happened this week, I'm sorry, my voice is cracking. I am a parent. You know, I have been coming to the board meetings as a parent on the other side and advocating for safety for so long and asking for the district to get a better number, to get a better handle of what's going on. And I would really like to request an ad hoc committee with stakeholders so that we can move quickly and swiftly and make sure that these things don't happen again, make sure that something worse doesn't happen, make sure that parents know that when they send their kids off to school, they're safe. So whether it be between you have representatives from the different schools, from different of course cabinet here and stuff. I just feel like something needs to be done so that I know you're addressing the protocols and but there's so much more that we can do, and grades and sports and everything is important, but we cannot keep our students safe, then how can they even participate in anything? So again, thank you everyone for the great presentations that you guys gave today. I appreciate it. I appreciate your patience with me, first time board member, and have a good night.
Thank you so much, Trustee Mejia.
Thank you. Happy New Year, everyone. I know it's already the 21st, but it's still Happy New Year. Yeah, to piggyback on what Trustee Christine Funeja said, yes, definitely safety is at the top of the mind due to the recent incidents. Yeah, I know that it's something that we're gonna definitely have expectations for, plans, the goals, plans to be communicated to the community, staff, teachers, classified as well. With that, just want to report a couple of events that I attended. Back in December, I attended the elementary high school band concert, and my favorite part was the jazz band. I love the jazz band. They're amazing. They're all amazing, but I really enjoy jazz. I also had the privilege of attending the Rio Vista Christmas program. I want to thank Ms. Cabral and Ms. Hugo for the invitation. It was so fun. Oh my goodness, these little ones are so adorable with the presentations, and just kudos to all of the schools, all of the elementary schools that put so much work into their programs. Parents love it. It's such a highlight for them. I want to say kudos to Rancho High School for the wonderful Ernie Johnson Scholarship Golf Tournament. Athletic Director Goyanaga, Principal Goyanaga, and Assistant Principal Real. They did an amazing job. It's my first time attending, and I was very, very, very impressed. Didn't get to stay for all of it, but just was very impressed. I was able to attend the Burning Tech Yellow Brick Road performance in Long Beach. Amazing. Again, expressing my gratitude to Mrs. Garcia, Principal Gallegos, for that invitation. The performance was really spectacular. Just it was amazing to see these kids singing and so confident. It was adorable. I attended the CSDA webinar on the governor's budget proposal. This is just, the beginning. There's more to come, but it was very informative. I want to congratulate Board President John Contreras on his appointment to the CSBA Delegate Assembly. was appointed by our Region 24 director, so congratulations to you. I do have an announcement. LACSA will be having a virtual meeting on Monday, January 27th at 6 p.m. We're going to be going over dual enrollment and safe schools for our immigrant students. They're going to be sharing resources. With that, we're also going to be meeting as directors with Senator Lina Gonzalez. She's sponsoring SB 48, and SB 48 is a bill to restrict local education agencies and local law enforcement agencies from cooperating with federal immigration enforcement officers on or near school grounds and providing additional protections for students and families to attend school safely. I'm hoping we're able to do a resolution as a board to support this bill. Wanted to announce that I completed the 400-minute winter reading challenge by the LA County Library and share some goals. So my goals, 3 of my goals this year, 3 goals. One is to do 50 hikes this year. I'm on hike number 4 so far. Read 100 books, 4 books read so far, and to meet quarterly with legislators, meet quarterly with them and just develop those relationships. And some of the LACSA directors have super really good relationships with the legislators, and I want to be at that level, having those really close relationships. Lastly, point of personal privilege, I would like for us to adjourn today in memory of those lost in the fires. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee LaFarga.
Yes, Happy New Year. 21 days into our 2025. Wishing everybody all the best for the new year and much success. Don't want to belabor the point about the safety, but I think it's important that we all speak on it because it is a critical issue. You know, when you have 4 or 5 incidents in 1 week, it just weighs heavy on all of us in our community, in our learning community. And so there is work to be done. Yes, the protocols are really important. And I also think communication is important and how soon we all learn about what's going on, how we get the message out to our parents. And one of the things you see is social media, it's out there before we get it, right? And that's nobody's fault, but it's like who needs to know when we need to know and how fast we need to know to be able to respond to questions that come to us right away. And because at the same time, judgments are being made, and we all have to kind of be on the same message and the same kind of response so that we're aligned in how we're going to address the issues that are happening at that moment in time. So just things to think about in that regard. Yesterday was a consequential day as Lil Carrion shared in terms of the executive orders that were passed. And we do need to protect our most vulnerable populations in our district, in our community, with respect to those executive orders that, you know, could put people in a position where we can lose students, we can lose family members without knowing them. What are we going to do? So I do want to echo those comments, and it's important for us to be proactive in that regard. And if we can communicate what the district is doing very, succinctly and often as we can, to reassure that we're on this, I think that's really important. Yesterday was also Martin Luther King Day. I want to recognize his life and his impact in terms of equity and racial equity and just changing the world to be a better place for all of us. And one of the quotes that I always lean on is and this is really something that applies to all of us as servant leaders. The nice, most persistent and urgent question is, what are we doing for others? And this is our work in our roles as leaders in our district, is to make sure that we meet the needs of our community and continue to create an environment where all of us thrive, but more importantly, our students and have the outcomes that we want to have. But just want to encourage us all to have that servant leadership perspective, because it's not about us, it's about those that we're serving, and we're trying to impact, which is at the end of the day is our students. So just wanted to share that with everybody. I did also attend the golf tournament, which was great. It was a lot of fun. It was great playing with you for the first time, Trustee Mejia. Hope to get out on the links again with you, and Dr. Villegas, you as well. So thank you for joining, and Mr. Gutierrez. Let's do it again. During the holidays, I attended well, before the holidays, Rivera Middle School band performance, and I just want to give big props to what's her name, Miss Penagniban, Miss P. I got close, right? So it's easier to call her Miss P. She has really grown that program. Like, I probably been to the last 3 years that I've attended her performances, and probably 20 kids first year, 100 kids the next, and it felt like it was 200 this last one. So she is just investing a lot of her personal time and passion to it, and just great to see that grow at Rivera Middle. So super excited for the school as well. And in terms of being of service, yes, whatever role we can all play in supporting those affected by the recent fires and their recovery efforts, that would be great. So yeah, with that, I'll end my comments, and thank you very much, and have a great evening.
Thank you, sir. And yes, definitely attended some of the events that, I said, the golf tournament, the band performances, all great events. It really brings the community together. And, side note with Miss P, she really has done a lot with that band over there. Seeing it grow from just guitars to now full on bands to now drama, being incorporated in there. She's doing a really great job. So kudos. The band performance at El Rancho. I always, I rave about sports, but the band program, you're doing great stuff over there, Mr. Rush. He's doing awesome, excellent. We've seen it growing again the past 3 years from maybe 25 to 50, now 100, and next year it's out of control. It's in a good sense, right? And they're building that camaraderie within the students, and the grades and whatnot, and everything's there. It's a great program that's happening over there. So congratulations to them. Spring sports, I wish luck to all of the um, athletes. Today, just as an update, from what I understand, the last score was 6-0 versus Whittier today with the girls soccer. So great job. Good luck to the cheer this weekend as they go into CIF competition, which is a big competition. So good luck to them. Good luck to my baby girl. Thank you for all of our first responders, as was stated. The work that they're doing. In the recent fires. Just a great, huge thank you to all of them. We are doing something in response to that. And we'll have more information out soon this week. In conjunction with the city manager, Mayor Garcia, Councilmember Camacho, Dr. Villegas, myself, and Trustee LaFarga here. We've been discussing as far as doing a fundraising event, and this is more so from the city side. But as a district, we are going to be working in conjunction with them. More information to come out soon. I'll leave that to Dr. Villegas. But we are working together with the city. We will have more information coming out soon. So stay tuned for that. It's a big event. We are going to be doing some fundraising efforts. So we are working on it for those in the community in our district that do want to get involved, that want to do some giving to that cause. We are working on it. So stay tuned. More news to come on that. As was mentioned before, I would like to also close in memory of those that lost their lives in the fires, and also in memory, if the board agrees, of Miss Alex Robles Hahn, who is granddaughter to Senator Bob Archuleta. So with that being said, we will move forward to, yes, go ahead.
We have a fundraiser. So if anybody wants to buy a brick for the stadium, I know we have the website. Please buy one. I've already bought two. It's a way to leave your legacy. It's a way for any Don out there, any Rivera resident. I believe it's $150 for the small brick, and then it goes up in price. But please, this money goes back to the athletics, it goes back to our students. So just, yeah, thank you.
And what a great way to engrave your legacy or put your name down and you know be part of the Rancho family. So yes, you're absolutely right. And more information on the website is posted. I did say I believe is on the website, and also at our school. So it is a great event. Oh, Instagram as well. I'm sorry. Kristen, did you have something? Oh, and I do apologize. We did go a little bit after, so I need to get a vote. If we can get a consensus to extend the meeting, we will go up until it's 9:30. So we'll go until 11 o'clock if possible, if we have to, because we do have some more items to discuss and finish up the meeting as well. So can I get a consensus? All in favor? Yes, yes. Thank you. All right, so moving forward, consent agenda. Consent agenda. Do I get a motion? So move.
Can I pull one?
Yes.
We have the motion and then I pull, right? I'm going, yeah. First,
Is there any?
yeah, so can I pull 16 D as in dog, number 10?
16 D as in dog, number 10.
That's all.
Okay, that's it, okay. And anybody else before we? Okay, so the motion was made by trustee LaFarga. Do I have a second?
Second?
Okay. Okay, so then from here we move on to 16D10. Right.
We pass and then we go.
The vote? Okay, sorry. Trustee Perez,
Yes.
trustee Mejia,
Yes.
trustee Saavedra,
Yes.
trustee LaFarga,
Yes.
and myself, yes. Okay, great. Moving on to item 16D10. Do I have a motion?
Someone second?
Okay.
Can I go?
Yes, discussion.
Highlight this. This is huge. The fact that I know the bugging for computer science, but just the fact that we have a $10,000 grant, it's going to be a project leap away. It's going to be an entire, career that's so needed, especially with technology, with AI coming in. So I just wanted to highlight kudos to the team. Thank you, Ms. Chavez Diaz. Thank you to Catherine Adame. Everyone involved on the team, just cute. And Mr. Ott, oh, she's probably going to be the teacher. Yeah. So huge thank you to our Rancho. Once this does, I do hope we market it and push it, get as many students as we can. So I just wanted to say thank you and kudos to the team. That's all.
Excellent. Okay, so with that being said, we're gonna take a vote on that one. Yes. So trustee Perez,
Yes.
trustee Mejia,
Yes.
trustee Saavedra, trustee LaFarga,
Yes.
and myself, yes. So moving on to 17 new business action items. Superintendent's office.
Yes, so as I had mentioned a little bit ago, there's a resolution. This is a resolution for support of the School Board Recognition Month. And again, rather than read the resolution, I'm just going to share a few thoughts from paper for the board. And so tonight, we are honored to introduce a resolution recognizing the incredible contributions of the Board of Education of the El Rancho Unified School District. This dedicated group of individuals works tirelessly, devoting countless hours to ensure the success of our schools and our students. Their leadership, vision, and commitment leave a lasting impact on our community and help shape better futures for generations of students. And again, rather than simply reading the resolution, I want to take a moment to highlight the profound impact that the Board of Education has made on our district and community. They advocate passionately for our students, families, and community, ensuring that every voice is heard and valued. They have set a clear, inspiring vision for the future of our schools, fostering an environment where students, staff, and families can truly flourish. Their care and dedication are evident in their commitment to ensuring that our schools are safe and that our facilities are constantly being improved. Then I'll take pride in the significant progress being made across many of our campuses, thanks to their leadership and focus in creating the best possible environment for learning. They do all of this not for recognition, but because they care deeply about our children, their education, and the future of our community. Tonight, we congratulate them on their remarkable service, their steadfast love for our community, and their tireless efforts to make El Rancho Unified a place we can all be proud of. So thank you for that. And and we're hoping that you pass this resolution.
Thank you. Before we do get to the vote, did anybody have anything to say? Everyone, any comments or? I just want to congratulate my colleagues here as far as, being on the dais and doing a great job. I lean on each and every one of you. I'm always asking the questions that, I don't know because I don't know. So I just want to give each and every one of you a great thank you and for caring for the community as was stated. So with that being said, go ahead and take it to a vote. I'm sorry, can I have a motion? Second? Again, lean to the board. Motion made by trustee Mejia and second by trustee Perez. Okay, trustee Perez,
Yes.
trustee Mejia,
Yes.
trustee Saavedra, trustee LaFarga,
Yes.
and myself, yes. Motion passes. All right. Resolution passes. Okay, moving on. Number 2, approve conference attendance opportunity to the California School Board Association, Association of California School Administrators, Coast to Coast Federal Advocacy event in Washington, D.C. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Comment.
Yes.
I know there was a public comment mentioned about this $10,000 is general fund. I highly disagree with that because I've seen from the first time that I attended, it was because the school board members advocated so that the one-time funds get extended, that happened. So this isn't just us going to DC for fun. Trust me, it is a jam-packed agenda. You're meeting with legislators, you're meeting with policymakers. We are the voice for the things that we see. And so now the legislators, so for one of the things that we talked about was you put a lot of constraints and a lot of expectations for special education, but we don't get the funding for it. And legislators need to hear that. When they create these budgets, they're not thinking that they're not on the ground. And so this is an amazing opportunity for board members to advocate for students, to advocate for teachers, for staff. It's not, I very highly disagree. This is not a waste of money. This is actually for us to get more money, to get more funding for our students. So I highly encourage any board member to attend, and that was my comment.
Thank you, trustee Perez. Trustee LaFarge, yes, what was that? Oh, I'm sorry. I agree. Anybody else? And I also agree with the statement that was just said as well. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and take it to a vote. Trustee Perez,
Yes.
trustee Mejia,
Yes.
trustee Saavedra, trustee LaFarga,
Yes.
and myself, yes.
We don't have to say who, right now.
Are we gonna select right now, or is that something we can discuss at a later time?
Do we have a deadline right now? I was thinking we could do it at the next meeting.
There's an early registration fee and then there's like a after, but I don't know what that cutoff.
Can we bring that up at the February?
44th
Yes,
meeting? Yeah,
yes,
we can
so
bring
that
that
we
up,
can
yeah.
get the ball rolling.
Make sure to do that, yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Okay, item B, divisional educational services. Number 1, receive the first reading revised by board policy and administrative regulation 0460, local control and accountability plan. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, quick question. So is this first reading and adoption because it's an action item? Rather than just the first reading?
We usually have to come back for a second.
We've done first readings and adoption, like the why I'm asking is because it's in the action item.
And so, Jasmine, I don't know if, is this to be adopted today and, or first reading and adoption, or is it just first reading of the administration rights for
We already?
local control for the LCAP? It was just a federation. Well, we voted in here, usually it's an action item, so that would mean that it's first reading and an adoption. So it would be the adoption then, if the board is good with that, it is, like you said, the CSBA recommendation.
So the 2 edits were already discussed, they're already presented, correct? Okay, and is everybody okay with that as far as the first reading and the adoption? Yes, okay, so with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and take it to a vote. Trustee Perez,
Yes.
trustee Mejia,
Yes.
Trustee Saavedra, trustee LaFarga,
Yes.
and myself, yes. And going on to item C, Division of Business Services, approve resolution 27-2024/2025, authorizing filing of applicants for state allocation board administered programs. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes.
Trustee Mahia?
Yeah, so for this one, I know it requires the facilities master plan. I just want clarification on that, if it's gonna be the one we already have. Or we're gonna, you know,
Technically, it's the one we've already had for the technical aspect that's being filed with it. But, certainly we want to bring the master plan to the next meeting, the February 4th meeting, and we want to see whether we're hoping that we can get the new one adopted by then.
and then my second question or ask for anything at a information Friday update, if it's okay with the board, the deferred maintenance plan. It's that part of that component with the new facilities master.
Okay.
With that being said, any more discussion? Okay, go ahead and take it to a vote. Trustee Perez?
Yes.
Trustee Mahia?
Yes.
Trustee Saavedra?
Yes.
Trustee LaFarga?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Okay, number two, acceptance of Rancho Unified School District's 2023-2024 financial audit report of the fiscal year ending in June 30th, 2024. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, go ahead and take it to a vote. Trustee Perez?
Yes.
Trustee Mahia?
Yes.
Trustee Saavedra? Trustee LaFarga?
Yes.
Myself, yes. And moving on to item 18, recommendations for any future agenda items. Trustee Perez.
So to formalize it, I had written it out, echoing as well. And I think it's an action. So the safety, I had put it as a safety committee, but it's similar, the ad hoc committee, specifically with, what was mentioned, the chronic behavior and the violence, right? So not just safety, but also the chronic behavior in the classrooms, specifically with those goals. And then it would be up to Dr. Vegas, who would sit in that committee, but echoing similar, just to formalize, if I can get a second.
Okay.
And then next one is, I don't know if we already do this, it's an information item. Downey is doing, it's called Classified School Employee Summer Assistance. So they give, I believe it's 10% of their salary. And then the district, which is coming from a grant, matches it and they get it in the summer. So I'm just curious if we've looked into it or if we do it. And it could just be just simple information.
I will look into that. I know we do a summer savings program with our classified that. I don't know if it's exactly that I don't know how if it's not any additional matching, it's a way of them being able to get some revenue over the summer for those that don't work over the summer. But I'll look into that to see what, I'll share with the board exactly what we do and see if it's comparable to what you've heard in other districts.
If I can get a second. Thank you. That's
My only question, what type of grant would that come from?
I was looking, it's coming from the state. I can send it to you. I don't know exactly where the money is coming from. I know it's from the state, but they match. So that'd be, it's taxable, but it's a great thing to look into. But we might do it, but I had never heard of it. So I just wanted to see if we do.
Yeah, I'll give you an update this week. I'm pretty sure that we do exactly that same thing.
Any other recommendations for future agenda? Trustee LaFarga?
I know we're gonna have the chief speak on protocols for safety. Was wondering if on a board update, we can get what communication protocols are when incidents happen. And who knows what, when, and what, those kind of details. If we have the plan or if we need to create it, whatever the status of that.
I can get a second on that. Yes, thank you. Good. Trustee, okay. Trustee Mahia?
Yes, I have three. One is AB 3216, the smartphone policy, which is it has to be implemented by July 1st, 2026. I know that we have a policy per se, but this one is the one regarding limiting the use of smartphones in classrooms or in school sites. Year goes by pretty fast, so we could schedule that out, so we can get information on it, or it could be a Friday update we want, but just so we can be on top of that. The second one, and this is a second request. Oh, thank you so much. The second one is the hazard mitigation plan that I have requested before, in the current events, right? I think that this needs to be moved up on the list. We need to be ready. Case in point, if you live here in Peak Rivera, we did not have any electricity on Christmas Eve, right? But it could have been at our school site. We could have been out of electricity for a couple of days. So we need to be ready. So if you can bring that up, move it up on the to-do list to the second. And then the third one was regarding the safety as well. We already have a safety committee. From what I know, but what we don't know, or at least what I don't know, is when those meetings occur. So maybe it's information item, but or a recommendation, scheduling quarterly meetings, but not only for, you know, internal for us to know, but for the community to know as well. And definitely echoing what my colleagues said, it has to be an all hands on deck type of meeting. It can't be just, you know, just the administration, just it has to be everyone. And I had previously given information on what Lynn was doing. They have an all hands on deck and it's quarterly. So I'm hoping and I may have a second so that we can get that information for quarterlies. Thank you.
Disagreeing with just agreeing, not disagreeing, just agreeing with what you just said as well. You know, we do need to get our safety plan, our safety concerns out to the public through social media via, you know, whatever modes or we have as a district. There were a lot of concerns tonight from the public that are very warranted, and we have been asking as a board. You know, three of us now, it's, you know, three of us have children within the district, you know, and at the school where the incident happened, I happen to have three of my family members that are at that school, you know. So yes, it's very important to us. Yes, it does hit home. And yes, we are concerned about it. You know, protocols during a meeting do not allow us to have a discussion, which is why we're not allowed to answer these concerns. But you know, as a superintendent, my ask is to please get those concerns or you know, the questions that were mentioned out today out to the individuals or out to the general district so that they know that we are concerned, that they know we are working on these items. And we have been working on these items. We already had some plans in place and we already have the wheel rolling. And safety is and should be our number one concern for our kids and our family, as we have family members that either attend school, work at the district, or we know of family members, you know, obviously that work within the district as well. So it is very important. I just want to get that message out to the general public and the community that's watching us. So yes, thank you. With that being said, before we do adjourn, we are going into closed session again. So we'll hold off adjourning. We are going to close in memory of those that lost their lives in the the recent fires, and also memory of Miss Alex Robles Hahn, granddaughter to Senator Bob Archuleta. So can we have a please moment of silence? Starting now. Thank you very much. So go ahead and break and go into closed session.